And good evening, everybody. Welcome to Straight Talkin' Fedora Chic. I want to thank you new subscribers for coming along for the ride. And for those who are new here, we are a storytime / social commentary channel. We discuss social issues of the day pretty much. And if you're into that sort of thing, please consider subscribing and hit that bell thingy below so you can be notified every time I upload or go live. And as you guessed by the topic, I am weighing in on the topic that has been atop much of the social media land, and that is Michelle Grace, a smaller YouTuber who largely flew under the radar for the most part, and until a video of hers, or a shorter version of a video clip of hers was flying around Twitter, which was, to say it was disturbing is putting it mildly. And I'm only going to play a few parts because there is a link in the description box. Sorry, not in the description box, in a pinned comment below for the original, it's in 2 parts for the original clips that have long since been deleted. When do you learn? Just because you take something down doesn't mean it stays down. What goes on the internet stays on the internet. So anyways, okay. So anyways, let's go briefly. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. I warn you, this is heart-wrenching.
Y'all hear that, right?
Like, no remorse, nothing. A very self-absorbed woman.
Just got her ass beat.
See, who talks like that?
Because no matter how many times I tell her not to mess with my makeup, she never fucking listens.
I kid you not, this is all about a makeup palette.
She can't find it. And what does she do? She finds it. At this point, I need a freaking safe with a combination on it to keep her out of it.
Not a bad idea, but there are better ones.
She ruined 2 palettes of mine, and one of them is being discontinued.
Wow.
1 second. My hand hurts. Because I just beat the crap out of her. Not literally. But I told her.
But so she gives herself away, basically. Now, what is disturbing and what is alarming is she claims to have hurt her hand after popping her child. She later sort of tries to backtrack and says, no, she didn't do it. But let's assume that's the first thing she said. It's the first thing she says. And she popped her child. By the by, okay, maybe this is popped. How does anyone interpret popped? I popped my child. Hi, Lily. Okay, and how do we interpret, what is popped? How do we interpret that? No matter, either way, she is on camera admitting to striking her child. Doing more than striking her child, and she hurt her hand on a toddler that is 2 years old. That means I hate to think what kind of injuries her 2-year-old daughter would have sustained. And the other thing is, what is quite telling is that she's more concerned because as the videos go on, we see that she is more concerned over her possessions, like those damn makeup palettes. In this case, it's the prized Jeffree Star Alien Palette, which is supposedly discontinued or about to be. Sorry, again, we don't have my sympathies, right? So we got the gist of the idea. So this, I mean, we had Amy's life journey. Okay, what, 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago or so, right? We yeah, we had Amy's life journey 2 weeks ago or so. Well, after we see several video clips of her with a wooden spoon, waving and brandishing wooden spoons in her car. There was a video of last year where a thud was heard. She pushed the camera and a thud was heard. And then subsequently a screaming and crying child. So now, is this becoming a thing now, filming potential child abuse? And then blame us, the viewers, if the proper authorities like Child Protective Services are called. And I have heard many of the commentary channels say either one of them, they're oversharing, they shouldn't have put that in. That may be true from a logical standpoint, but you know what? I'm going to say something. Okay, and you just hear me out. Sunshine is the best disinfectant, okay, is what I always say. So when things are out in the open, maybe at this time, maybe at this time something can happen. And in this case, with both Amy's life journey and Michelle Grace, maybe those children, their respective kids, maybe get some help, And I got to, and one has to ask in the case of Michelle Grace, if she's admitting to hurting her hand because she's popping her 2-year-old, what does happen? But the first thing that one has to wonder, what is going on behind the scenes, right? What exactly is going on behind the scenes? How much is it? How much worse is it for these children, right? I mean, of course, in the case of Amy's life journey, like I said, we don't actually see abuse on camera, and nor does Amy actually really own up to it. The closer she does it, she mentions threatening and using the wooden spoon in the car to threaten the children with to keep them in line. But how would the kids know to be afraid of it, basically, right? So any reasonable person, as I've mentioned, any reasonable person can infer that she probably has at least on a few occasions used that wooden spoon on her children. Plus there was that fateful video. I'm not going to delve too much into Amy's life journey, as there is a video in the pinned comment that I did 2 weeks ago about her. But next, so anyways, back to Michelle Grace here. We're going to fast forward a bit, and I'm going to share screen again. Okay. Okay. Okay, hang on. Okay, here we go.
Ruined my James Charles palette twice. I was not happy, but I was like, you know what? It's fine. I can go buy a new one when I can afford it. It took me until after Christmas to buy a new one because I'm freaking broke. I can't afford to buy makeup all the time. And it was literally my favorite palette. Now, I do have one now to replace it because I had a gift card from Ulta for Christmas, but I had to wait until after Christmas to get it. I wasn't happy, but
so you notice how we all notice and we all see how her precious makeup palettes, okay, are more important to her than her child. I don't care how expensive they are. She basically goes on whining about how she can't afford these palettes, and these palettes are super expensive. Here's the thing. Here's a trick. You're paying for the brand, okay? You're paying for the privilege of having Jeffree Star's name stamped on some pretty fancy packaging, okay? Because honestly, I'm sure you can find palettes, makeup palettes with a similar color combinations for much cheaper. Okay, like I said, I don't do makeup. I'm not into makeup. I'm reasonably certain you can get it. You can get it for much less. Now, some have suggested that. Now, there were many, especially female YouTubers, reacting to this, who were suggesting that perhaps she buy her some dollar store palette and teach her how to apply makeup. And here's the thing. Okay, never mind that in principle, those of you who have followed me, I'm kind of railing against a societal norm that women can't be beautiful unless they put makeup on. But that's another video for another time. But meanwhile, it doesn't solve a problem, really. You know, okay, buy a palette and do, because we obviously see as those videos go on how much more disturbing it gets. It's much. Okay, it goes beyond makeup, okay? I know she's using her superficial reasons for striking the child, but it is obvious there are deep-seated problems. Now, I'm not a mental health professional. I'm not a mental health professional, but I have worked as a secretary, okay, for a Department of Youth Protection for the province's Ministry of Health and Social Services. Okay, and I know enough. And I grew up in an abusive household as well, so many of you know. And so I know all too well that, while, a given incident could be for superficial reasons, like you broke something expensive or whatever, but again, it's a deep-seated problem. And this Michelle Grace, I hope for the child's sake, honestly, I hope for the child's sake that she gets some help. But I have to wonder, if both. Now, I don't believe Michelle Grace or Amy's life journey are particularly bright enough to be all that duplicitous, but I have to wonder on some level, okay, there's a cynic in me. I have to wonder if they filmed all this on purpose. No, I really, hear me out. Did they film this all on purpose, Are these really are they cries for help? Not just the children's cries for help. Now, I would see that especially maybe Amy's life journey a little less so, because she has a husband at home to at least help out, whereas Michelle Grace is a single parent, and it is apparent that she does not earn all that much money. Does she have a day job? I don't know, but even so, it probably doesn't pay all that much. We do not get the image of somebody who went beyond high school education. So we have to wonder, is it? And the other thing is, okay, she keeps trying to justify herself, and she keeps digging herself further and further, right? And then, especially with the Twitter and the tweets and the Instagram story, she did a really huge Instagram story, which I'm not going to bring up on the screen because it's a little difficult to read. But somebody did deep dive and find a bunch of old tweets of hers. Now, the reason probably those tweets might have or would have flown under the radar, because back then she was a tiny YouTube channel, and I'm going to guess that she didn't have much of a Twitter following. Amy. Hi, Amy. Good to see you. I couldn't believe this woman when she said, I'm not going to let my child walk all over me. What, she is too. I do agree. I think this mother is projecting other issues onto her child. Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I'm not going to presume to diagnose her because I'm not a mental health professional. But like I said, I'm just going by what I had observed, when I was as somebody who grew up in an abusive household, and also as somebody who's worked as a secretary for the Department of Youth Protection. I assisted psychologists, frontline social workers. Now, I'm not going to tell you exactly what I saw at work. I'm bound by confidentiality. But I can say that, I mean, usually the parents we've seen, are clearly overwhelmed, in the cases of physical abuse. A child gets hit, physical force is used, and it's usually a case of a really overwhelmed parent. Okay, and I'm seeing that vibe with Michelle Grace. Like I said, a little less with Amy's life journey, because at least she has a husband at home to help out. Okay, whereas Michelle Grace is a single parent. But I'm tending to wonder, yes, I'm not even saying she is mentally ill, just maybe taking frustration. Absolutely, taking frustration out in the wrong way. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she could be that shallow, and this particular incident is about the damn makeup palettes. I mean, she does go on in that video about, her James Charles palette and her Jeffree Star palettes, and one Jeffree Star palette that's about to be discontinued. Like I said, I don't really keep up with that because I'm not into beauty. Okay. I'm going to say, like the French impressionists of the late 19th century used to say, "Nerf de la beauté." Okay, that's how I feel. Nerf de la beauté. So yeah, but the fact that she's more proud. Okay, as like I said, I'm going to guess she's poor, and the very fact that she was proud of having obtained makeup palettes that are, let's face it, more expensive than a week's worth of groceries around here. Okay, the very fact that she's more proud of that than, let's say, her own daughter or her daughter meeting her milestones, because that's how it appears from where I'm sitting, that's pretty disturbing. That is pretty disturbing. And here's the thing, because she goes on, there's more to this. I'm not going to play the rest of the clips, but there is more to this. With one of the palettes, it might have been the most recent incident, the child also managed to access a bottle of Windex, okay? And I can't tell you, okay, that is alarming. How did the child get the Windex? I mean, I'm wondering if the makeup palette, the blocks or whatever you call it, I have to wonder if they're toxic. I mean, obviously, not only do toddlers get into everything. Hey, Sarah, good to see you. She said there were other videos, but that's the one that saw the light of day. Does she have her contacting her daughter on her hard drive? I'm not sure, Sarah, in all honesty. I am not sure. Yeah, Sarah Kirk is in there. The clips I played are from her, from Sarah Kirk, and the link is in the pinned comment, so you can go check out in their entirety over on Sarah Kirk's channel if you must, because I'm not going to play all of them. In all honesty, the first one to me is, hearing the child screaming is a little too blood curdling for me and for many. I just wanted to give an idea as to what we're talking about. From what I worried, she's not even worried about the Windex. That is disturbing, Amy. This is true. Because she was talking about the damn Windex, how the child got into the Windex, and apparently she poured Windex all over the palette, and I don't know, and she poured it all over her crib. And by the way, what is a 2.5-year-old doing in a crib? I realize children develop differently, but you have to wonder, why is a 2.5-year-old still in a crib? Look, I don't have children, but I used to hear parents say that a rule of thumb when raising children, if a child can get in and out of their crib with the bars still up, it's time to change the bed. It's time for the child to evolve into a normal kid bed. But anyways, that could be a discussion for another time. Yeah. So that's what I saw. There was no concern, about the Windex. I mean, Windex, it's a cleaning product, and it leads you to wonder, how careless is Michelle Grace if she's leaving cleaning products or solvents? Again, toddlers not only get into everything, they like things that are colored and shiny. They see a bottle of bright blue liquid. You don't think they're going to be tempted to take a sip, that's why they say, keep your cleaning products, keep your makeup, keep a whole bunch of other stuff sorry, going through word loss again. Let me go to the chat. Sarah, I'll also say this. She reaches down to grab her palettes like they're a foot off the floor. Seems like things are laid around everywhere. I would agree with that assessment, Sarah. I would agree with that, because if the child was simply able to climb up on a toy to reach the palette in the first place, it means the palette was not in a high enough place, which you have to wonder, you know, I mean, let's say Michelle Grace is cooking on the stovetop and she turns her, I don't know, she turns her vision away from the whatever's cooking on the stove. Does that mean the child can easily stand on a toy and touch the hot burners or touch the hot pots? Those are other things, you know. So it's not just Michelle Grace's, you know, alleged abuse that we're seeing, or that she's actually bragging. She's like, this is the other, it's so disturbing. She brags about it like it's some kind of weird conquest. Like, this is pretty sick. You know, I mean, I don't think I need to tell you that this is pretty twisted. Like, she's treating it like it's a victory. Now, there was a reaction channel that I caught earlier who talked about this, called Tasha's Thoughts, and she had all the tweets, like the older tweets, and I'm going to put those on the screen. I'm not sure how many have seen them, but these are older tweets that display that further, it seems to be further alleging that this has been going on for a long time with Michelle Grace and her child. You'll see that she blames her child for pretty much everything. And despite the fact that the child is a toddler, she might claim that the child is intelligent, and that could well be. But here's the thing. A 2-year-old's brain is not formed well enough to understand right from wrong necessarily, as she likes to put it. Okay? A child's brain is not fully developed. Hang on, Amy. Yes, kind of seems like she's putting something in the drawers enough. Well, no, it's not. You got to put it high up. I mean, we all remember with Onision's child falling out of the window. How did the child, you know, get access to the window? You know, how did a 2-year-old get access to the window in the first place to actually go and fall out? You know, it's, you know, you got to, toddler, you know, like I said, toddlers are into everything. So yeah, she said she's told the child more than once not to do those things, but she's 2. No, she doesn't understand. And I'm sorry, hitting a child, okay, at any age, really, okay, hitting a child at any age, a child's not going to understand, okay, a child is really not going to understand. Sarah, she tosses back her head and says, I'll be damned if she walks all over me. Yeah, I remember that too. Such attitude, like she showed her. It is sickening. It is gross. Hey, Nikki, good to see you. She treats her 2-year-old like an annoying roommate that gets into her belongings. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. And that's what makes it all the alarming, you know. And then she solves the problem by hitting her, you know. And that's the thing. Like, the other thing besides that, I'll be damned if she walks all over me. It's like, she's not a teenager. She's not some manipulative teenager. She's a toddler. She's a toddler going through, you know, 2 years old. They get into everything. And that is why responsible parents have to basically childproof their homes. You know, things like corners that should be, I don't know, kept away from them. Makeup palettes, solvents, cleaning products. Okay. And there was another incident that she claimed that the child used some ranch dressing or ranch sauce. Hang on a second, please. Give me a second. Sorry about that. I had to sneeze. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, you're right. So, you know, so there is a deeper seat. It's disturbing. She talks like this child is some unruly teenager, you know. An unruly teenager likely would or could, let's just say, have the potential. I'm not saying all teenagers have this reasoning, but a teenager potentially can know the difference between right and wrong, you know, and a 2-year-old can't. I wouldn't say toddler. She's still a baby. It's heartbreaking. You're right. Hey, Brenda, good to see you. I can't stay, but please have an amazing night, everyone, and take care. Well, thanks for stopping by, Brenda. Brenda, as you know, I leave all these streams up, so you can feel free to catch it later, and you can weigh in the comments section a little later, okay? Have a great evening, Brenda. Thank you. And then she is a baby. It is heartbreaking. I know. I remember the first part when I saw the first part. The child is screaming in the background, and she's screaming over Michelle talking. And the way Michelle is talking, it's like this child isn't. Instead of worrying about the child or how she might have seriously injured her, she's like, what has she done to my makeup? And no, she's not, and if the child got access to the Windex, that is like, be thankful she didn't drink any of it. Children are into bright, shiny, colorful things, like I said, right? So what goes on is now it's not clear if she has outside extended family or she has any kind of support outside the home. It's not clear to me. And I don't think it's clear to others, but somebody is not, the very fact that why do I get the feeling if this was not on camera or if not for the tweets from before, from a long time ago, we would never have known about it. And I would certainly hope that a lot of the viewers took the time to call Child Protective Services. Oh, heck, it got Philip DeFranco, the OG of YouTube, it got his attention. And he did tweet his condemnation of her behavior out for all 1.2 million of his followers of New Eyes to see this. So she's gaining infamy here. And speaking of infamy, you know what's disturbing? Because in those clips, I saw that she was clocked in at about 740 subscribers. And apparently now, at last check, I had seen she's close to the coveted 1,000. Wow. She gained 200 subscribers over. Talk about, I talk about the squeaky wheel getting the grease here, I feel like she got rewarded, she got the attention. She's got new subs to her channel and she got rewarded. I get that negativity and so-called train wrecks get the views, but this should not be rewarded at all. Hang on. Sarah. I have another video. I'm not sure if I should upload. She's giving, she has a cat too. Oh, goody. Okay. I hate to think how the cat is. All right. She's giving her cat affection while shushing her daughter. You see a little hand reach up to Michelle Grace. She ignores it, shows neglect. Several people called local police and cops. Well, yeah, I hope so. If she gets on Dr. Phil, oh God, no. You see, that's again rewarding the bad behavior. She gets onto a show like Dr. Phil, that's again rewarding bad behavior. Hey, Casey, stupid YouTube didn't let me know you were live. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that, Casey. Wow. Oh boy. Yeah. So anyways, okay, just a few minutes. Let's call this information. Welcome to everybody new just joining in. And like I said, the stream will remain up. Yeah, the stream will remain up after it's gone. Child Protective. Hey, Kim, good to see you too. Sarah Kirk, 101. Child Protective Services, CPS. Okay, so apparently people have been calling CPS. Okay. Because I really feel that this child is in danger living in that home. I really do feel that. So anyways, just a brief intermission here. Amy, are you still here? Can you, if you're still here, can you let me know, please? Amy, my moderator. Yeah. Okay, anyways, I do have a Discord server. For those of you who have not yet joined, please consider joining. We are 2 months and we're nearly 50 members in. So we're growing fairly quick and we're a group of awesome people. So let's see. Amy. Okay. All right, here goes. So I'm going to give you the link to the Discord server in just a second. All right. Copy. Here we go. Okay. And also, yes, if you wish to support the channel, I do have Patreon, and I'll put the link in now. It seems Amy might have stepped away from the keyboard. Okay. Okay, that's not a problem. So anyways, I do have Patreon. So go check me out there. And this gives me the opportunity. I want to shout out my patrons who are S, Journey to Find K, and Kim Liepert. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Kim. Yeah, yeah, I'm going to give you a wrench, Kim. Are you good with that? Kim, hang on. Jesus, what? Hang on. Kim, I'm going to give you a wrench. Are you okay? I hope you're good with that. Yeah, hang on. Add moderator. Here we go. All right, can you type something in the chat, Kim? Let me see if it worked. Can you type something in the chat for me? Okay. Just to let me know that this worked. Okay. All right, excellent. Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, so Amy, if you're around, don't worry. Nobody's replaced you. I'm just adding. So anyways, like I said, if you want to support the channel, you may do so through Patreon or through a one-time donation through PayPal. Hang on. You may do so through PayPal. I want to thank those who have donated recently to my PayPal. You are all I want to thank you for the generous donations. You are all awesome, as well as my patrons. Okay. Sarah Cope, New York Post, and TMZ. Yeah, I saw that TMZ covered this. Yeah, if you're hitting TMZ. Sorry about that. Yeah, I saw that too. TMZ did cover this. Yeah, I saw that too. Oh, good grief. Okay. So anyways, I'm going to put I'm going to put the tweets on. So I'm going to go back to sharing the screen. Yeah, in less than 48 hours. I saw that too. I saw that too. You know, when you're making TMZ, you know, it's not always for the good reason, you know. Not always. Hang on. Okay. Yeah, I found the screen. Okay. Okay, hang on. All right, here are the tweets. If you need to pause to see any of this, by all means. Hang on.
Critics and audiences can't stop talking.
Oh, yes, I don't have ad blocker.
Invisible man.
With an angry emoji. I need a freaking vacation. Away from my family, sadly, away from Aria.
Aria, for those who are wondering, that's the name of her daughter. And these tweets, as you can see, date back as far as last fall.
I need to clear my mind. I'm on the verge of a mental breakdown. If Aria doesn't go to sleep, I will literally lose my I swear, I just cleaned my room. Can you tell any more? No. Thanks, Aria. I'm going to actually lose my marbles. I edited through 45 minutes of footage, and as it was saving, Aria pulled out my SD card anyway. I figured, put it back in, it'll be fine. Nope, not fine. I go to play back the video, and half of it is missing. Ugh.
Okay, again, why is your cell phone, I'm assuming she's using a mobile device like a tablet or a cell phone to edit a video. Why are you leaving that lying around within reach of your child if you don't want your child to play with it? And I don't think 2-year-olds should be playing with such devices anyway.
Ugh. I'm sure you can all see that, unfortunately, Michelle is struggling with being a young and single mom, which is only natural. You aren't even fully matured by the age 23. And Michelle hit Aria at age 20. Also, she has an extreme problem with oversharing, as you can see by the tweets I just showed you, and clearly by the video that's now been deleted. I personally feel like Michelle needs to...
Okay, the full video, this was from Tasha's Thoughts, the channel Tasha's Thoughts. And that video is in the pinned comment below if you want to watch her commentary. Okay. So here we go. Yep. The girl is only 2.5, Kim. She's only 2.5. She's a toddler. Yeah. I am scared for this child, and I honestly hope this child gets the help she needs. You know, and I get, you know, an impoverished single mom, a young, impoverished, probably uneducated single mom, you know, it can be overwhelming. I totally get that. But I think this goes beyond the pale, because either she's completely out of touch, because here she is talking about designer makeup palettes, you know, and she seems to be much more proud. And because she does say in one of the videos, okay, and Sarah Kirk, who is in the chat now, her channel is linked in my pinned comment as well. Go check her out. She has those videos in their entirety if you want to watch them. There was another thing that she referred to those makeup palettes as her children. Okay, she referred to them as her children, that they need to be, you know, it was almost like hug me and pet me and squeeze me and name him George kind of deal, you know. Hang on. Yeah, she calls them her babies. Absolutely right. She guards them with her life, So if she guards them, but then that, you know, the flip side of that argument, if she really did guard them with her life, as she likes to put it, how does her child get into them in the first place, you know? How does her child get into them, you know? And like I said, I don't know if, like, I'm going to assume that makeup, like the components that make eyeshadow are also toxic if a child should eat them or stick them in their mouth. You know, I'm going to presume they're also toxic. Oh, yes. And there was another incident where she talks about, you know, she left ranch dressing on her bed because she was eating in bed. And the child got hold of the ranch dressing and once again dumped it all over the palette and put her fingers all over it. It's like, okay, why are you leaving ranch dressing in your bed, you know, to begin with? You know, why are you leaving it in your bed? Hang on. I watched Netflix series called The Trials of Gabrielle Fernandez. Yeah, I've heard of that. I've heard of that one. I can't understand how anyone could ever put their hands on their own children like that. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm glad you found that funny, Sarah. Yeah. Casey, I think that's what happened to that poor Evelyn Boswell. There's no way if she locked them from her daughter would get into it. Well, yeah, exactly. You know, if she, you know, I mean, it's not a bad idea. You know, whatever the child can get into, make a mess of, destroy, that's of value. Maybe it's not a bad idea to lock them away, you know. Now, I'm not going to speak so much for Canada. We do have tight gun control laws here. So almost, you know, a lot of people don't own guns unless they actually hunt. But I do know in many states in the United States, a lot of people own guns because it's fairly easy to get one. I would hate to think someone irresponsible like Michelle Grace having a gun and it's not locked. You know, I would hate to think what would happen. And she might have set this up for free makeup. I wouldn't put it past her, Sarah. I wouldn't put it past her. And you know, and abusing your child. Okay, or we got to say allegedly, but you know, I think we're beyond alleged because she has admitted that she, you know, this was not the first time that she swats her child, okay, or pops her child, as she likes to put it. And again, I would love to hear the definition of pop. You know, when it comes to popping somebody, hitting somebody, how hard is that? What kind of injuries can that inflict? you know. And child abuse, you know, can get worse. The beatings get worse usually as a child gets bigger and older, you know. And there are studies that show the only thing a child who is, I mean, I don't even believe in spanking in all honesty, because there are studies out. Yeah, exactly. That's what I said earlier, Kim. You know, we see what she did on the camera, what she does. Imagine off camera. Yeah, exactly. We do see that, Kim. Yeah, we absolutely do see that. You know, what is going on? And that's why I hope enough people call Child Protective Services or call the proper authority. You know, in all honesty, in my humble opinion, from as an observer from home, I don't believe this child should be living with her at all. You know, and it looks like to me, until such a time, like Michelle Grace could benefit from parenting classes as well as anger management. Pop here in Iowa is an open hit to the face. I don't believe in spanking either. I was spanked with a belt growing up. I'm sorry to hear that, Casey. Hey, resting bitch face. Good to see you. I'm glad to see you here. So, you know, there are studies out. There have been studies out over the years, you know, that using physical force or corporal punishment on a child, okay, it does not, and I've seen it, you know, in my observations, through my previous line of work, and as well as growing up, you know, the child only learns fear, anxiety. And the other thing I've noticed with abusive parents, you know, they say it'll teach them, except they move the goalposts off more often than not. The only thing a child understands is to be afraid, you know, and a child's going to be stressing out to be perfect, you know, and the child's going to have severe anxiety. And yes, PTSD often results later on in life, post-traumatic stress disorder. Sarah, I have a screenshot from the stepmom. She says Michelle knows the difference in whooping because she hits the family dog too? Nice. It's shocking and deeply upsetting. Her environment is obviously toxic. Also, it teaches them to react with violence. Yeah, exactly. You know, they do become bullies, you know. And I did a video a while ago giving that example called When the Bullied Become the Bully. It is a cycle of violence. And, you know, it's said that boys who grow up in that environment, unfortunately, the cycle continues, as well as women, girls, when they grow into women, they continue this cycle. But it's also said that in the case of a girl also, here's another double whammy. In the case of a girl, girls often tend to end up in abusive relationships because it was all they knew. Basically, because it's all they know. They end up in abusive relationships. Resting bitch face. I'm a former social worker. Oh, I'm glad you're here. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm a former social worker and I taught parenting classes. You just do not strike a child, especially at that age. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Exactly. The studies came out. You know, can you imagine growing up and having a fear of makeup and you don't know why? Well, not just the makeup, you know, not just the makeup. I remember when I was living at my grandma's house, okay, and I found a glass of something. It looked like golden liquid. I thought it might have been apple juice. I don't know why. But there was like a glass with, you know, half filled with something. I drank it. I drank it, and I remember my grandmother having a fit because she saw that I drank the glass, and all she was doing was screaming at me, and then she grabbed my shoulder and, you know, physically put me into a chair, and she gave me, and then she started feeding me water really fast, you know, drink it fast, drink it fast, drink it fast, and she was feeding me glasses of water, and I had no idea why she was screaming and panicking. Probably, I don't know what was in the glass, probably booze. And I didn't know it at the time. But at the time, I didn't understand. All I saw was a glass of something in the fridge. I drank it. And there's panicking, you know. There's panicking. So this child is probably going to, probably thinks, the makeup is, something scary. She doesn't know why her mother hit her. The same way I don't know why my grandmother was force feeding me water. Yeah, you're right. The data does back it up. Do you think the mother has emotional issues? As I mentioned at the top of the video, Sarah, I'm not a healthcare professional. When I was working for youth protection, it was as a secretary. I provided administrative support to child psychologists and frontline social workers, you know. Resting bitch face. Want to ask you, because you are a former social worker, do you want to come on and give your point of view from a social worker? Let me know in the chat, and I'll send you the. Yeah, I can see it too. So, resting bitch face, let me know if you want to come on with me. You can speak from the point of view of a social worker. And I will send you the StreamYard link so you can hop on if you want. Anyways, think about it. Because it might be, I think it might be interesting. Anyways, think about it. So, yeah, exactly. Well, that's up to resting bitch face. I'd like her to come on, but that's up to her. Okay. Anyways, let me know, and I will put. I will send you the StreamYard link so you can hop on. Okay. You don't have to have it. You don't have to have StreamYard because it works online. It's an application that works online. All I have to do is send you the link, and you just click the link and you join. If you're interested, just let me know. Nope. Okay. I'm sorry if I'm. I don't mean. Yeah. Looks like others in the chat would like to see you. Would like to hear you. Okay. But think about it. Think about it. Okay. Because like I said, it's an application that works online, so you don't have to have the application at all. All I have to do is send you the link. So anyways, hang on. StreamYard. Yeah. So anyways, all this child, I'm thinking about this poor child and the safety of this poor child. And I have to wonder, like I said, I don't believe either she or Journey to Find Kay are that bright to be that duplicitous, but I have to wonder if filming, alleged abuse and stuff on camera of their children, I have to wonder if, I don't know, in their maybe at the very least in their subconscious, if they are looking for, if they themselves are looking for help they're not finding in their immediate environment. Just want to put that out there. Okay, let me find my mic. No worries. Just give me a sec. All right, let me know when you're ready. I'm going to send you. Yeah. Okay, RBF, let me know when you're ready, and I will. I'm going to send you the link in Discord. Okay. Or I can put it here in the chat too. Okay. So let me know when you're ready, and I'll drop you the link. Okay. So that would be excellent. Resting bitch face, who is a former social worker. We're going to get to hear from her, or we're going to try and get her on. Anyway, we're going to try and get her on, and I think it would be very interesting to hear from the point of view of a social worker. I think it would be, from a professional who has worked, no doubt, with people like Michelle Grace and their children. I can't stand to hear children cry. They cry because they need something. It's distressing. Well, yeah, and that was what was happening, in that video, that video from last year from Amy's life journey, for instance, where she just simply shoved the camera aside. We hear it because the child was crying and needing of her attention. So she shoves the camera away. We hear a thud, which any reasonable person can infer that to be some kind of spanking or a hit, and the child crying right away, like crying and screaming worse than before afterwards, so that's it, so we have to wonder, we really have to wonder about these women. But are they themselves, do they feel like they're not getting, completely breaks the child's trust as well? Yes, and there are statistics and there are reports about that, Kim, as well. There is data that does support that assertion. Absolutely. Yeah, there is absolutely. Okay. Sorry about that. Hang on. Okay. Sorry, I'm not seeing the chats in StreamYard. Okay, I'm going to YouTube to look at the chats. I was scared from my dad for a long time. I was too, Casey. I was too. As a matter of fact, I was always like a scared child of him right through after I turned 40, you know, including after I turned 40. I think the only time I stopped fearing my father was when he got sick, you know, when he got very sick. And that fear switched to pity. Maybe they're looking for validation that what they did was right. Yeah, they both are. I believe that strongly, Sarah. And you see that, you know, especially with Michelle Grace. Now she's taken down her video. Her Instagram is now private as well as her Twitter. Her Twitter is private as well. So I think to take them down doesn't necessarily mean that she believes she's done something wrong. It just, she's probably thinking, the mob is after me type of thing. And that's why I'm taking it down. But as we know, you know, we've all learned, and Amy's life journey, that video of her, you know, allegedly hitting her child was from last year. She took that video to down. Somebody found it on Kiwi Farms. So I'm told, like I said. I'm not a fan of Kiwi Farms. I don't do any research on Kiwi Farms. I don't trust it. But I heard that's where it was found. Maybe Michelle thought that people would be like, yeah, your daughter deserved it. And start a GoFundMe for new Jeffree Star palettes. Oh, heaven help us. That's another topic I plan to talk about soon, actually. Crowdfunding, like GoFundMe's, because that's become a hot button social issue these days on social media land. You know, especially the GoFundMe. That is a hot topic. So I am planning to do that video very soon. Let me check the Discord. Okay. Ray Phoenix. Okay. Okay, hang on. I'm going to send Resting Bitch Face the StreamYard link. We'll see. And that way, all she'll has to do is jump on. Hang on. My screen is freezing. Okay. All right. My screen is freezing. Here we go. Okay. Okay. Typing ASMR. All right, so I sent the link to Resting Bitch Face. Okay, I sent the link to Resting Bitch Face, and she can jump on when or if she's ready. Okay, I'm ready. Bear with me. I'm tech impaired. It's okay. It's okay. We'll see if this will work. Resting Bitch Face, I sent you the link in Discord as a DM in Discord. Okay? Sent you the link in Discord. So all you have to do is hit the link, and I will see you I will see you looking like backstage, and I will add you. Okay. All you have to do is click that link that I sent you in Discord. Okay. So hopefully we'll see her. We will see Resting Bitch Face come on very shortly. Yeah, those tweets from last fall are particularly disturbing. So we can see a pattern. We can see a pattern. We can see, you know, something happen. old Kamo. Hang on, my screen froze again. I don't know if you can hear me. Oh no. Uh-oh. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. I don't know if we lost sound or lost vision. My screen froze for my screen just froze there for a few seconds. Hang on. Let me see if she got the Discord link. Okay. Hang on a minute. I found the video. It had 21 views. It was posted on the 22nd. Once I can hear you, but your face is frozen. Yeah, I know. Sorry about that. There we go. Yes, once it was shared to a private Canadian beauty group. They shared it to Twitter and all over. I can't believe what a bunch of Canadian makeup lovers can do. Shout out to Kiss and Makeup. That's pretty funny. I'm actually Canadian myself. For those of you who don't know, I'm actually Canadian myself. I live in French. I live in a province where we parle en français. Yeah. But we should thank this group, exactly. Yes, and I think she might have been also trying to get freebies from Jeffree Star because from what I heard, she was tweeting Jeffree Star about what her daughter did to the palettes. I know that others have been tweeting to people like the OG of YouTube, like Philip DeFranco. It got his attention. They tweeted Jeffree Star. They tweeted all the major drama channels as well. So a whole bunch of new set of eyes are looking in, Now, I'm not going to talk about the gawkers who just like to gawk, but I would like to believe that a lot of us did call Child Protective Services and or the proper authorities. Okay. All right. Hang on. There she is. Let's try it out. Okay. Hi, resting bitch face. Welcome. All right. Your mic and your mic might be muted. Okay. Just unmute your mic. You should see below. Okay, the little mic thing. Just unmute it. Okay. Okay. No, you just muted it. Okay, unmute it. Okay, we're not getting sound. Okay, we're not getting any sound. Hang on. All right. So the mic appears to be unmuted. Are you using a phone by any chance? Or are you using a tablet? Okay, hang on. Let me check in the chat. What the fuck are you serious? Jeffree Star. No, I know Jeffree Star is not going to reward a child abuser. That much I think you're using a tablet? Okay. It should work with a tablet. I have had people on using their tablets and it has worked. Okay. They became okay. Okay, I don't know if you have to. Okay, I'm not sure how tablets work. I'm not sure. Yeah, I know. I just don't hear you. Okay, I'm not sure if you're seeing the chat. Try unplugging the mic and plugging it back in. Wait a minute. Hang on. I heard some clicking. Heard some clicking. Yeah, the tablet should have a built-in mic. Maybe you try using the built-in mic on your tablet.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you. Yay, we have resting.
Great.
Welcome to
Sorry
Straight
about
Talkin'
that.
Fedora, Chic.
I am notoriously tech impaired.
So am I. Remember, I'm old. I'm from the early 1700s.
Well, I'm aging at the speed of sound from what I hear, so.
We got together we can make this happen.
Yes, absolutely. The fun we can have.
Yeah. So you were saying you used to work as a social worker. Were you working for Child Protective Services?
I actually worked for a nonprofit that was contracted out by CPS in the
Okay.
States. So I worked with them on their cases, but not for them, if
Okay.
that makes sense. It was a nonprofit group. I was what was called a home-based social worker. I
Okay.
primarily did counseling, family counseling, and youth counseling for kids that were in drug court.
All
And
right.
yeah, so I've had some experience. I've seen some stuff.
Well,
And
yeah, when I saw you were a social worker, I thought, wow, why don't we get the point of view of a social worker of what's been happening? We can talk about both Amy's life journey and Michelle Grace, although Michelle Grace, I find her child's situation probably a little more dangerous for the reasons
yeah.
I already mentioned. So, anyways, I'm going to let you have the mic, so to speak, right now.
Well, I unfortunately missed the very beginning, so I can't really speak on Amy's story because I didn't catch it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But I have seen a lot about Michelle Grace, and what I've seen is disturbing, very disturbing. I've seen her Twitter statements from like a year ago where she talked about popping the child when it was a year old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I'm from the South, so my mom didn't spank. She spanked me one time, and it was because I jumped in an elevator without her when I was about 3. And I still remember that one time that she spanked me. She did it, out of frustration and relief, but I still remember that. And I was only 3 or 4 years old. So I can't imagine living with the expectation that that could happen almost any moment, which is kind of what it seems like is happening. I mean, it's one thing, she said her hand hurt. And
Yeah.
I thought, if your hand hurts, how do you think that child feels? She's 2.
Yeah.
Doesn't understand. And if it hurt an adult's hand, can you imagine how the child felt?
Yeah, like it implies that she must have hurt her pretty hard,
Yeah, you can hear the child in distress in the background of the video while she's making it. And
We
she's
do
more
hear the
concerned about
distress.
the palette. And it made me want to pull my hair out. It really did. I mean, it still affects me. Like, I'm kind of shaking right now. It still just really, really gets me. Like, I know there's been a lot of debate on what exactly popping constitutes or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. She claims it's from the South, and yeah, exactly. You're from the South yourself.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that expression? Was it common?
No. I mean, I watched cousins of mine have to go pick their own switches to get to get whipped with when they were younger. But it's not a Southern thing, the word pop. It typically, when I hear it, I just think of like an open mouth slap to the face or mouth.
Okay.
But I've heard other people, can also be a whack to the back of the head.
Mm-hmm.
It could also be, with a closed fist. So I think it just varies. It's one of those terms that it's not isolated to the South by any means.
No, because I thought maybe she was giving too many generalities there. And here, the other one she mentioned, and this was mentioned in Michelle Grace's very long Instagram story. It said she talks like in those words, paraphrased basically. I had to give her a good ass whooping. And she claimed that this too was an expression common to the South.
Well, and I noticed she said one thing that really jumped out at me when she was describing it. She said, "I'm not going to let her walk all over me." The
Yeah, like
child's 2.
some manipulative 15-year-old,
exactly. She's not, sitting there plotting to destroy your life by messing up your Jeffree Star palette. She's
No,
a
she sees
child
it, she sees
with
the palette of
so
shiny.
many colors in front of her. And she also made a comment about how she was the smartest toddler she ever met. Well, I have 2 teenage sons
Okay.
whom I adopted through foster care
Okay.
when they were very young. And my oldest is a certifiable genius. I'm not bragging, I'm not exaggerating.
That's okay.
He's actually a certified genius. And so he was an exceptionally bright toddler. But he still got into things when he was curious. That's why you put them where they can't reach it.
Well,
He would, they're curious. That's what they do. That's how they learn about their world. That's how they explore. And it's almost like she expects her to be a little adult. You know, it was so disturbing on so many levels.
it was, it's like, I'm not going to let her walk all over me. And it's like, this is
Yeah,
not
I
some
mean,
manipulative 15-year-old,
she's too, in my opinion, just from what I've seen, and I've watched quite a few videos on it today, covered by different people, and throughout the day, the theme has kind of emerged that she just thinks that this child should know to follow whatever she says, and she should know how to behave, but it doesn't seem as though she's making any effort to actually teach her. She just whacks her or pops her or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
that social services needs to be involved. I think she definitely needs anger management and parenting classes.
Yeah.
My response initially last night when I saw it on Twitter was like, you need to learn about child development because
Exactly. Like, I don't care how smart this child is. Sorry about that.
No, go ahead.
I don't care how intelligent this child may be, and maybe he might even be advanced further than 2-year-olds, but the fact remains he's 2, and the human brain, is nowhere near developed at, say, a child who is 8, 9 years old.
Exactly. And it just hurt the expectations that she seems to place on this poor little girl. That's really what jumped out at me so much. Aside from, also the damage that she's doing by physically harming her. I don't believe in spanking. I'm not a spanking, advocate. I'm a timeout, teachable moments. You have to have patience with 2-year-olds. I mean, they require enormous patience. When I adopted my children, they're brothers, so I went from 0 to 2 in an hour and a half.
Wow.
I had a 3-week-old and a 22-month-old in an hour and a half. I got the call, and an hour and a half later, they were at the door. And, the toddler had issues, but like I said, exceptionally bright. He's already taking college classes while he's a sophomore in high school. But he got into my stuff because that's what they do. And it's such a simple remedy to just, if there's something you don't want them to mess with, put it where they can't reach it. It's such a simple fix. They make all kinds of locks. They make all kinds of locks and latches and gadgets, to keep children that age from opening doors and, drawers and things like that. But yeah, that's what stood out to me the most was just the unrealistic expectations and the normalization of striking a child that young.
Okay, somebody in the chat has a question for you.
Oh, okay.
Sarah Kirk, and she has a question. She's asking, what scale of urgency would CPS consider this?
Well, as I said, I wasn't a CPS worker. I was called in after, they made their judgment calls. But from what I've seen, I would put it up there. I would put it around like an 8
A what?
because of the age, like an 8 probably, especially given the age of the child. I mean, I think it's urgent. I really think it needs immediate.
Okay,
The
we
problem,
had a different coding for the Department of Youth Protection in our province. So,
yeah,
yeah, I'm a Canadian. So 8 would be number 8. Triaging classification would be considered urgent, like up there.
I would think so. Like I said, I was part of a nonprofit, so I was called in after CPS made those decisions. So I'm just kind of guesstimating based off my experience, but I would consider it urgent, absolutely, especially given the videos that I've seen today and the other evidence that I've seen today. I saw a tweet, like I said, where she talked about popping the child when she was 1, when she was a year old.
Yeah,
Who hits a 1-year-old baby? I mean,
exactly.
that shouldn't be, you know, even considered as a way to teach a child at a year old, And I got the feeling that she resents this child.
That she was what with this child?
That she resents this child.
Yeah, that's a feeling I got too, and I think a lot of people who caught it on Twitter, who caught it on YouTube, are getting the same impression too. And most are not social workers, even worse. A lot of them are parents themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and another one, Sarah asked another one. She says, "Do you think she could be looking at jail time?"
Depends on the state.
Yeah, I
Depends on the
think
case,
list.
the caseworker. There are so many variables. I mean, no one saw it, but she did say, just a statement that her hand hurt indicates she used some serious force.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I would be inclined to remove the child, just from what I've seen.
You would be inclined to remove the child if this was your case, this landed
Yeah,
on your desk.
yeah.
Okay.
Inclined to remove the child. I mean, they have to go in, do the home visit, get the physical, do all the standard things, but just the vibe that I get and the evidence that I've seen and the way she spoke about it and the way other people have spoken that this is a regular occurrence, for her to scream at the child,
Mm-hmm.
and that the child doesn't bat an eye when she screams at her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would be inclined to remove the child, but there are so many variables.
No, and I
you know.
totally understand that. I totally understand that. Now, just going to go into the chat because Sarah has been actually doing a lot of research on this on her own end, and
Mm-hmm.
she just started her channel, or that's what it looks like to me. She just started her channel, and she had 2 videos up of the original of Michelle. So she's been collecting the receipts. And
Okay.
apparently, yeah, she's collected shots of private chats with the crazy, her words, crazy stepmom. Apparently, Michelle Grace's real mother died when she was a teenager. So there is
Mm-hmm.
a stepmother who might be a bit, because Kim and the rest of the chat were talking about how this thing usually, is cyclical, it's generational.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, violence begets violence. It does.
Exactly.
And when children are taught that it's okay, it's acceptable for someone that's supposed to love them and protect them to hit them, that message sticks. It affects their development, it affects their future relationships. Just like you mentioned with women, who end up in abusive relationships, a lot of times they're running from one abusive relationship at home to another, with a man. It just, yeah, it's disturbing. It's just really, really disturbing.
No,
But
absolutely.
she definitely, I would remove the child, and I mean, anger management and parenting classes would be a must, along with probably individual counseling as well. And then, I don't know, but I really got the feeling that she really resents this child, and that is a dangerous situation.
Yeah.
That's a very dangerous situation.
Yeah. I mean, and this is why this is so particularly disturbing. I mean, I'd seen a lot, when I was a secretary, the stuff that would fall on my desk for the social workers I provided administrative support to. I would get the files because I would have to take care of the paperwork, right? And
Yeah.
I would have to take care of the paperwork. It was part of my job. And make sure that all the files were prepared for transfer for the case managers, like to case management. And what I saw were a lot of distressed parents, parents that were, young, perhaps uneducated. They're definitely poor and they're stressed out, but they genuinely do love their children and they do want to do better, but something is preventing them and they can't. So yeah, we would provide them, with help. We would provide them with help or a plan, or a permanency plan, particularly for a child under the age of 5. We had certain protocols for children under 5. Which was about permanency planning, basically. And it didn't mean placing them till their 18th birthday. It just meant, let's find a plan for this child. But a lot of these parents, genuinely do want to do better, but they can't, or they don't know how, or they can't find the resources to help out. Like, even if it's something simple, like getting like a food voucher from a local service to pay for food, and they want to do better. But what we're seeing is we're doubling down. We're doubling down. She keeps justifying her acts and her behavior. We saw that from the what?
I know. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm just astounded by her, the way she just continues to double down. When I can only imagine how much heat she's getting. I mean, I know what I said on Twitter, and it wasn't nice. I mean, I wasn't nasty, but it was, not a positive comment per se. But I would also like to say, is it Sarah that has been working on this and
yes,
collecting? Documentation is key. So that's a wonderful thing that she's doing.
Yeah, Sarah Kirk 101, who is in the chat, she has a brand new channel. She has 2 videos up of those clips, and she is appearing, from what I'm seeing, she is doing the research and collecting the receipts. So for anybody who wants more further development, go subscribe to Sarah Kirk's channel. I have her channel link in the pinned comment below the video. So if you want to go check her out. But yeah, she appears to be collecting the receipts. So here we go. Let's just go to the chat for just a minute. So there is a chance the stepmother could gain custody. She admits to beating dogs, has an immature attitude. The child can't go to her.
Oh, yeah. The animal abuse. That's, no. No. That would not be an option in my eyes.
Okay. No, that doesn't sound like an option to me either. And I mean, if it were here in my province, we would definitely look. She would be one of the first people we'd look at. Let's say if it was on our doorstep, she would be one of the first people we'd look at. But if we heard from others, or we saw the house, or we saw, obviously the child would not go there. Because the goal, obviously, contrary to a lot of people, the goal is to try to keep families together as much as possible and use placement in foster care or group home as an absolute last resort.
Yeah, I mean, the ultimate goal is reunification. Unfortunately, that's not always possible. That's how I have my two fellas, you know,
Yeah.
who are teenagers now and doing very well. But
I was going to ask, are they so they've adjusted well to your home and
oh yeah, they're both thriving. They're both incredibly intelligent, very handsome, very funny guys. They're
oh, that's
amazing,
cool.
unobnoxious for teenage boys, if you can imagine that.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, Sarah Michelle is 22 or 23. Yep. And so anyways,
When
so
you get into that courtroom, documentation is everything. So
absolutely.
yeah, keep going, keep going.
Yeah,
Collect everything.
exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So here we go. At the end of the day, just because you don't have the equipment to be a parent doesn't mean just because you have the equipment to be a parent doesn't mean that you should be one. Absolutely right, Kim.
I hear that
Yep.
loud and clear.
Casey
That is-
Dennis, beating babies and dogs. I don't spank my dogs. I did once and I felt wrong. For the record, I barely spanked her, but still, I felt awful. And I found as she grew, it was easy to teach her without that. Yeah, absolutely right, Casey. This Casey was talking about once that she did give a spanker dog.
Yeah.
Gave her,
I have,
and she was regretting it. You see,
I
this is
have
the
a
thing.
bull curled up next to me that yeah, I would never dream of it. Um she's right beside me. She's kind of my emotional support animal, actually.
Oh, that's cool. That's
Yeah, she's great. We do rescues, and she just happened to pick us. But the animal abuse is a huge red flag. So even though it would be logical to consider or look at the stepmother first, I would think that that would be such a huge red flag that they would pass.
Yeah, I would tend to agree as well. Okay,
Mm,
Casey is beating. Yeah, so like you see, the difference here is Casey admits to having done wrong and she felt guilty about it and she never did it again. That's the big
Yeah,
difference, okay? And she said she never did it
yeah.
again. She's
We all make mistakes, I'm not a perfect parent. I've done things that I would do differently in hindsight. Um, but this case, just like I said, you could see the rage in the woman's eyes. I could anyway when she was discussing it. And
absolutely, absolutely.
it just, yeah, that oh it's really sad. It's really, really sad. It's heartbreaking.
Oh, it is.
Um,
Good night, Kim. Good night, Kim. She had to go to bed. Okay.
oh,
That's
good night,
okay.
Kim.
Good night, Kim. And yeah, the stream will be up. You can catch the rest of it at a later time. And thank you for stopping by and for being on Troll Patrol. Armed and dangerous with a blue wrench. Okay, but yeah, and that's like as I was saying, somebody, a lot of people might, would feel remorse for that act. And that's the scary thing about Michelle Grace. She does not, we don't see contrite, we don't see contrition, we don't see regret, we don't see remorse.
No, she's justifying it. She's doubling down, like you said. She's justifying it more and more.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
that
Now she's trying to get sympathy to get another free palette. Like, yeah, what's next? Exactly. A GoFundMe to buy another Jeffree Star palette. And as I said at the top, here's a little secret. You're paying for the brand name of Jeffree Star.
yeah, I mean, you know, my husband has returned to school. He's in nursing school.
Cool.
Um, we actually live with my mother right now because she's elderly. She's currently at the ER. She fell earlier. We think her leg is broken. But she was a long-term foster parent. My mom was after I left home.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she was a special needs foster parent and also a teacher. So I grew up, surrounded by all of this. And I commented, I was like, I would like a Jeffree Star palette, but my priorities are such that, other things come first, particularly my children, even, the family, even my dog.
Well, yeah, I mean, the dog is part of the family. Absolutely. The dog needs to be fed, needs health care,
He
with
has
the
a
veterinarian.
has a lot of chronic health issues, unfortunately.
Oh, dear.
So, yeah, we have a lot of vet bills. And it's like, I'm not, it's a palette at the end of the day. And this was a two-year-old girl that saw sparkly colors.
Exactly.
And just the unrealistic expectation that she was placing on that child, as well as the expectation that the child would know why she was even being spanked. It's just not, it's not realistic. It's not reality. That's not the way that children's minds work at that age.
No, it isn't, and I'm not a parent, and I know this. I know this myself, and, and like you pointed out, like the makeup, I mean, it's palette. To her, for all we know, it could be like finger paints, because
Exactly. I mean, they actually do look kind of similar the way they're packaged.
exactly, exactly. Like we see the kids' paints, how they're packaged. They're palettes too.
Mm-hmm.
They're palettes, albeit water soluble paint, but and not makeup, but still to a 2-year-old that could look like a palette of paints. Yay, let's do artwork.
Yeah, I mean, a 2-year-old doesn't know who Jeffree Star is and how much his products cost,
You pay out a freaking mortgage to get I took a look at his prices for the, for shits and giggles. And like I said, I'm not interested in beauty or makeup, and I have my own views about that. But
I'm a hippie. I don't wear a lot of makeup either, just special occasions. I'll wear a bold lip or
fair enough.
something.
But I did take a look at his products, because I did see once on Twitter the Blue Blood collection of lipsticks, and I thought, oh, cool, you can get all these shades of blue lipstick. I thought that was kind of cool. But it was like $85 Canadian. I keep in mind whatever prices I quote out to you are in Canadian dollars, because I live in Canada. But 85 Canadian, and I don't know what that translates to US dollars, but it's definitely $85 Canadian. And I'm like, and the other thing that interests me, because his products are vegan, I'm vegan, because, and I am vegan because of animal. I care about animal welfare.
Yeah.
And so I checked it, I checked the products out, online. And it's like, holy crap. Because once in a while, if I do makeup, it's for a costume. Okay. It's for a costume.
Yeah.
I'm taking on a character. And I thought maybe blue lipstick might help a character one day, but I'm not going to spend 85 Canadian on that. I'm sorry. I'm on a fixed income. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm on a freaking fixed income. I'm on I'm forced into retirement due to medical issues. And I can't do that. Anyways, we're teetering off here. We're teetering off. So let's get back. No, it's it's me. I'm the one who gets distracted. I'm the one who gets distracted. Yeah, I'm the one who's distracted easily. Hang on. So let's go check the chat. Here we go. Repzilla. Yeah, Repzilla. Okay. Whoa, it's going fast. So I can understand her disappointment truly, but I never ever heard anybody over makeup. No, it's not worth it. It's things, And it goes back to the other thing. We place such a value on things, and I've noticed that some who are poor, like yours truly, some who are poor, they might have been saving up for some, one luxury item, okay? One frivolous luxury item, and you can't get over how proud they are. It's almost like it's a bigger accomplishment than, say, your kid coming home with a good report card, or saying that you're able to pay all your bills in 1 month, something simple like that. It's like we place this emphasis on things.
Hmm. I made a resolution several years ago to not be a mindless consumer.
Not to be a mindless what?
Consumer.
Aha! Yeah, you're right. And I have to. I have to. I mean, if anybody sees my apartment, what have I got? I mean, all my furniture is my ex-partner's furniture. And it's
Hmm.
perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's perfectly fine. And, somebody asked me once, why don't you decorate your apartment? Well, to me, decorating an apartment is a frivolous expense. It's not going to help me pay my bills. It's not like I'm showing this apartment off to Better Homes and Gardens.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
just
mean,
need to
I
be comfortable in it.
invented some art in my early 20s when I had a really good high paying job. And I still use it. I haven't redecorated it. As I said, we moved in with my mom. Her house is smaller than mine was. So a lot of mine is in storage, but just like, running out and browsing and shopping and just picking up something for no reason. I've become much more conscientious about not doing that. And it really does simplify your life as well as save you a lot of money.
Well, yeah.
I do it for ethical reasons as well. I don't want to buy clothing from sweatshops. I'm not into fast fashion, that sort of thing. But I'm scaling off now. So
Exactly. Well, Sarah says Michelle's a wannabe and her collection isn't as big as others, and that's her thing. See, that's the thing. I also get the image of a online social climber, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
An online social climber. And again, this is taking precedence over the well-being of her own child.
Exactly. I mean, once that child's trust is lost and she feels unsafe with that parent, that is almost irreparable. Almost.
Yeah.
I mean, the little was very young, so, but just from what I saw, it was just all about the palette, and it was almost just like she was angling for someone to buy her a palette. That's the impression I got.
Yeah,
Is
me
like,
too.
for it, like, feel sorry for me when she made the statement of the rest of the stream was about me being sad and poor. If you've got a roof over your head and you can feed and clothe your children, and you have a car to get from point A to point B,
Sure.
you're doing okay. I understand wanting to splurge and have a treat here and there, have something really nice. I'm a girl. I'm human. I'm like that. But not. I mean, it just would. Like I said, it's such a simple fix. You just put it where the child can't reach it. Problem solved.
Well, yeah, exactly. And definitely she needs to be held to account for her behavior, her priorities, because the priorities are obviously effed up. Now, moving right along, we have both, and you have seen the data, and maybe you saw it firsthand when you were working at that nonprofit. The data, the research that shows that a child who was so-called disciplined via corporal punishment,
Mm-hmm.
we've seen the data that not only does it not work, but there are consequences as this child grows into an adult.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so yeah, I mean, you want to talk a bit about whatever findings you came up with?
Well, I can kind of generalize a bit and say I think with girls, they tend to internalize that and it affects their self-worth
Yeah.
and their value. I think with boys, and again, it's kind of a generalization, but they are the ones that tend to act out more and become the bully when they're in a household like that. Those are the two biggest things that I've seen. Like, women that are abused as children are far more likely to enter abusive relationships as an adult.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I've seen those findings as well. And through my own experience of growing up in an abusive household, and I have been in abusive relationships, and I have talked about that on my channel
Mhm.
in previous videos, and I think you've seen a few of them, eh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you've seen a few of those. So I don't think I'm that much of a stranger to you.
No.
But
I feel like we've known each other a very long time, to be
yeah,
honest.
exactly. I mean, I do have PTSD as a result of what happened to me as a child. And this is
Mhm.
common. Children who grow up, either being physically, sexually abused. Yeah, I know I'm using a word that's verboten on YouTube again. I'm going to become
Oh,
the
I
bad girl of
think
YouTube
about
very
that. I'm
fast.
glad you said that.
I'm going to
I'll
become very fast the
I'll
bad
find-
girl of YouTube. Susan's not going to like me. But
yeah.
Susan Wachacha is not going to like me. I can't pronounce that name at first.
I love that.
No, but on a serious note, children who grew up in that, physically, sexually abused, even psychologically and emotionally abused, do
Mhm.
end up with PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder. That is a fact.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
another common,
Generalized anxiety is
yep,
a common one. God forbid, they're predisposed to a mental illness genetically.
mm-hmm,
You know, that can play a role in worsening that or bringing that out.
mm-hmm.
Know what I'm saying? And kind of
Yeah,
trigger that, the develop, the expression of that. Whereas if they were in a stable, loving, nonviolent home, it may not surface. Am I making sense? I feel like I'm talking in circles.
no. I'm listening. We're all listening here. But seriously, here's the thing. You're right about the mental illness. I mean, usually parents who are into this kind of abuse obviously have some kind of mental illness, whether it's been diagnosed or not, whether it's been verified. It is kind
Mhm.
of obvious. And as we mentioned, a lot of these mental illnesses are chemical and genetic, such as bipolar disorder, schizophrenia. And
Yes, I inherited one. I inherited type 2 bipolarism. So
okay,
it's on both sides of my family. So I'm well acquainted with it.
okay.
But it's well managed. I have a wonderful doctor. So,
Oh, cool. No, it's great. If it's well managed and there's a treatment plan that works for you, I'm glad.
Mhm.
And to see it's worked well for you because you were able to adopt boys who came from, a
They came from a violent situation. We'll just
yeah.
leave it at that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were able to raise them. You were able, with your professional know-how and as a parent, you were able to tackle whatever issues such children could have, when they're adopted into a new household. And, it goes to show, it can be managed, a mental illness can be managed. And
Mm-hmm.
people with mental illness, and that's the thing, people like Michelle Grace or Amy's life journey, or even last year, the whole Daddy of Five. Anybody remember Daddy of Five?
Oh gosh, yeah, I remember that. Oh,
Yeah, those kids were removed.
yeah, the two
Yeah,
little stepchildren were removed.
yeah, they
Um,
were.
but yeah, I followed that closely when that first broke. Um, but yeah, especially with little girls. I mean, society makes it hard enough on girls
Hmm.
with the pressure to be attractive, the pressure
Oh yeah,
to, uh, you and to have that primary female role model harming you, she's going to internalize that. That's going to affect her self-worth even more than the average young girl. You know, it
yeah,
just
exactly. And another common mental illness, which is derived from children who grew up in abusive households, is that heavily maligned diagnosis, the dreaded diagnosis, which I believe is overdiagnosed in girls and women, if in my humble layperson's opinion, and that is borderline personality disorder.
I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's overdiagnosed. I do know people that have it,
Mm-hmm.
manifest differently, there's nuance to it. My husband and I were discussing this the other night because he was doing his psych rotation.
Ah,
Yeah. So we
oh,
were having
wow.
my bachelor's degree is in psychology, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, we were discussing that. It's almost like it's the new bipolar. Like,
Yeah.
my generation, bipolar was the disorder.
It's even the
And
same initials. You think about it, BPD.
people get it confused a lot.
Yeah. They do. They do. Yeah. And I mean, I was diagnosed with it during a 4 or 5 year period, believe it or not. And that was before I was referred to the neurologist that found my FTD, the early onset frontotemporal dementia.
Yeah.
And I never felt that was, they figured I'm a girl. I came from I'm a product of an abusive household. And I was and still am highly sensitive emotionally.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm a crier.
I am. And they came up with this, and I never felt right because I was followed by a psychiatrist for 20 years, from the age of 16, 17, right up until my mid to late 30s when he retired. So good 20 years, he saw me really evolve. And those are key ages that's quite a range, between your late teens and heading into middle age.
Well, that's funny. I had a very similar experience, and I wasn't properly diagnosed until I was 30.
Yeah. And I never felt
diagnosed with like depressive disorder, but a lot of people don't even know what type 2 bipolarism is. The symptoms are different.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not your stereotypical Hollywood version of ups and downs. It has a lot more to do with depression and anxiety and hypomania. Like, I've never had a manic episode ever. But it took I was 30 by the time I got properly diagnosed. And once I got properly diagnosed, I stuck with that doctor, and she's been a lifesaver, literally.
Oh, wow. No, that's good. No, and I love that psychiatrist I had. The only problem was he retired and nobody transferred my file. But what ended up years later, when I had that major breakdown in 2014 that led me on sick leave from work, which ultimately turned into my retirement, turned into early retirement due to medical reasons. I always knew, like, during those years that they thought I was BPD, borderline personality disorder. I was even sent to a DBT program, which honestly was wretched. And I couldn't in all good conscience recommend it to anyone. I could, like, that particular program, I couldn't see it being helpful to anyone. But I'm not really going to go into that. I have videos about that, the early days. I have videos about what I went through in that program. But anyways, it was until I was sent to a neurologist, because there was the added component that the people in the DBT program were ignoring, but not only ignoring, but saying, you got to try harder, you got to think harder, And the problem was my short-term memory was going, and I was also starting to have word loss. I was starting to have issues with my speech patterns. And they were ignoring it. Of course, these people didn't believe dyslexia. And all that time, I thought my dyslexia probably got worse as I got older. And there were issues with reading, like bigger issues with reading and writing, and which affected my work and impacted my work negatively. You're a secretary, you're assisting frontline social workers. You better remember how to write, or edit. And I couldn't. And I thought that dyslexia was probably, between the stress with all the crap that had happened that year and, going into middle age, I thought, the dyslexia maybe just got worse. But finally, when I was sent to a neurologist and I had a battery of testing, I had a specialized CT scan on my brain and a PET scan. And that's how we found that I do not have borderline personality disorder, but I have early onset frontotemporal dementia. Not that that's any better.
No, but you deal with it so gracefully and so graciously. You really do. I'm so impressed.
Thank you.
I was actually speaking to another sub of yours earlier when I was telling her that you were getting ready to stream. And
Oh yeah.
we talked about, yeah, how gracious and how honest you were about it. And yeah, I really admire your strength and your ability to,
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm touched. Yeah, I appreciate that. You and my other sub, I appreciate that. So yeah, again, I mean, obviously, I'm not a candidate for children. Because I also know my limits. But yeah, exactly. But back to Michelle Grace. Somebody. Oh, here we go. Sarah said, like she listed all the palettes she didn't have and showed the palettes she did. Yeah, that is disturbing. She's doing that while in the background her child is screaming.
Yeah, the child's obviously in distress. Obviously in distress.
Yeah, and all she's talking about, she's showing off the damn palettes.
I mean, I've seen a lot, as a social worker going into people's homes, and my jaw was just like dropped the entire time I watched it when it first broke on Twitter. I was just like, I was pulling my hair. I like wanted to climb through the screen and just shake her,
Oh yeah. And it was the same thing when I saw Amy's life journey a couple of weeks ago. I did a video about her. And that is in the pinned comment. That's why I didn't really emphasize her today, because I did do a video. It's in the pinned comment. And the other thing was somebody did a live stream comparing Amy's life journey with Michelle Grace. And while I find that from my layperson, from where I sit, the Michelle Grace situation is more grave than the Amy's life journey, but also the Amy's life journey situation should not be ignored. It's like I always say, small problems can turn into big ones, and they escalate, and they can escalate.
Absolutely.
And with Amy's life journey, what happened was, I don't know how much you're aware. Like I said, I did do a video, but briefly, there was a video that was found on Kiwi Farms. Not that I use them for research, but the video started circulating. Okay. Sorry, I can't. Yeah, I mean, a video is a video, even if it was leaked from Kiwi Farms.
Yeah.
There was a video leaked. It was called Let's Go to Portland, and she was celebrating her 600, back then it was 600 subscribers. Mm-hmm. And this was another girl whose channel basically flew under the radar. It was a vlogging / lifestyle family channel. Mm-hmm. And it flew under the radar pretty much up until, recent months. And she's being compared to the new Amberlynn Reid. I'm not sure how accurate that even is.
Oh, dear.
I'm not even sure how accurate that really is. But the video called Let's Go to Portland, you hear a child, a toddler, her youngest, who is the same age as Michelle Grace's child at the time, who obviously wants her mother's attention. She's crying and she wants her mother's attention. Mother is screaming. So mother pushes the camera away and doesn't even get edited out. And what we hear is a thud. We don't see, but we hear a thud. And any reasonable person can infer that she is slapping her child. And right after the thud,
yes,
what?
I know what you mean.
What did you say?
I said it's a very distinct sound. You know it when you hear it.
Yeah, exactly. That's why any reasonable person can infer. And so we saw, and it was never even edited out later, so we know. And then there was recently a video clip that was on Twitter, and Amy was once again kind of proud of this, sort of. That's the impression I got anyway. Carrying a wooden spoon in her car. She was brandishing a wooden spoon.
See, that's a crime in a lot of states. You can't hit a child with an object in most states.
No, you can't. And you can't do it in Canada either. It's in the criminal code, in the Canadian criminal code. You can't do it in Canada. I believe it's section 43 of the criminal code.
Excuse me one moment. Will you let them in?
What? What? We lost your sound. We lost your sound. Uh-oh. Okay. Oh, we lost your visual too. Okay. Um, okay, we just lost her. Okay, resting bitch face. The link is still in the Discord if you want to come back. I don't know what happened to her, but yeah. Um, so we were discussing, somebody. I don't think we can compare to two. I think the two are. I think one might be more dire now. Oh, there she is. There she is. We got her back.
My mom just got back from the ER, so I had to
Oh,
go
is
let
she
them in
okay?
the wheelchair. So,
Is she okay?
she has a broken leg.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
Hmm. That happens
yeah,
as you get older. Yeah.
yeah. She's replacements and stuff. So,
Oh
um,
wow.
she was using a walker when she fell. So,
Okay. Well, let's
but
hope she gets a speedy recovery.
tough one. She's a tough one.
She's
I
a
was
tough one, isn't she? Okay.
I was a
So
very fortunate child.
yeah, so where were we? Yeah, so we saw Amy
Hmm.
Brent like with her two young toddlers in the back, and the kids are doing kid things and they're noisy, and she's trying to stream on the camera in her car, and she's brandishing a wooden spoon. She says, "Do I need to use this?" or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And the children are low, like the children are scared of it. And then she claims
Hmm.
she only uses it to keep them in line, to threaten. She only uses it as a threat, and she's never used it. And she uses it to keep her in line.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's believable.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
being sarcastic. Um, they wouldn't be afraid of it if it hadn't been used. I'm making assumptions, but I
Well,
just,
yeah, exactly. And who carries a
and
wooden spoon in a car?
yeah, yeah,
It's not part
uh,
of the last I checked, it's not part of an emergency roadside kit.
yeah, and you're not in, like I said, most states. It does vary state to state, but in most states, you're not allowed to strike a child with a spoon, a belt, a whatever, any sort of object. Um, Even if spanking is legal, open hand to the bottom, there are
Mm-hmm.
still laws against using objects to hit your child with. And I just, I know, I know parents get frustrated. I know, especially with toddlers and young ones. I dove in head first. Told
Right.
you my story. I dove in hard. And, there were days that, there were times that I would get frustrated. And you know what? You take a time out. You give yourself a timeout. I've actually, told my son, Mommy needs a timeout, when they were little. And
Right.
he would understand that because that was something he could relate to because that was what I used, to teach him when he did something he shouldn't have, like hit his brother or, stuff like that. And I would literally say, Mommy needs a timeout. And I would take 5 minutes to center myself and, breathe, take some deep breaths, and then get back to it. But, brandishing basically a weapon, that's not going to teach your child. That's just going to instill fear in your child.
Exactly. It's the same thing with hitting children. The data is out. The
Yeah.
science is there,
Mm-hmm.
and we have seen it. And here's the whole thing I don't buy, like you see the older generations, probably including some from mine, although my generation is when a lot of parents did stop using corporal punishment on their children. We Gen
Yeah,
Xer.
probably close to the same
I'm
age. I
Gen X.
reckon.
Yeah, because I'm Gen X.
I am too.
Oh, okay. There we go. So we know where it's at. So, but we know that the
Yeah.
previous generation, the boomers, You know, they say,
Mhm.
"Oh, I was spanked. I was hit as a kid, and I'm okay." And how often do we hear that ad nauseum? And it's like, and you have to ask, are you really?
Yeah, yeah. Because, like I said, my mom spanked me once, you know, in an extreme situation. You know, we were at a doctor's office and I hopped on an elevator before she could get on with me and rode it down. And, you know, she swatted my behind just open handed. After she hugged me, she swatted my behind. I still remember that. You know, I'm 48 years old and I still remember that.
Yeah. And
And it
I
was just
remember what my father
one
did.
time, only time I was ever spanked.
And I do remember what my father did to me. You know, a lot of the times I wish to hell I would forget, but
Yeah.
I wish to hell I would forget, you know. But FTD doesn't it doesn't allow me to choose which memories that keep coming back and which don't, you know. I mean, you know, it's like I said, I mean, life with FTD is basically, like I said, there are things I remember I don't want to remember, and there are things that I want to and or need to remember, and I just can't.
Aw.
That's the stage it's at now. And if that was a brief way to describe what I go through these days, that's basically how I would put it. But yeah,
Mhm.
and I remember all those incidents with my father. I remember all of them, you know, the major incidents, the major beatings. And I
Mhm.
remember the emotional abuse too. And in my case, and I'll speak for myself, I'm not going to speak for everybody else, but I will speak for myself that the emotional abuse I had is probably scarred me more than the physical beatings did. And like I said, I am speaking for myself.
I've
And
heard that from a lot of people, though. I've heard that sentiment often.
oh, you have?
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm saying this because there are parents who like say justify this. Say, well, at least I don't hit my kid. Well, we're glad you don't. We're very
Mhm.
glad you don't. Please keep in that vein. But psychologically abusing them, emotionally abusing them, like telling them they're no good or putting, you know, moving the goalposts, having unreasonable expectations more often than not, and then keep moving the goalposts, that can screw a kid up for life too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've seen it play out over and over again, you know, with friends and family members.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, so where are we going? Where are we with the chat? Hang on just a second. I just want to check the chat for a second. Um, Casey said that she didn't get diagnosed until last year at age 30 with her bipolar. Casey says that. Oops, we lost your sound.
Again?
Okay, we got you back.
Okay.
We got you back. Yeah, hang on a second. And then there is Sarah says there's so much in that video. The first bit was shortened, but I felt the whole video was needed to be shown. Sarah is referring to the Michelle Grace that she showed on her channel. Oh yeah, Sarah says resting bitch faces mama mend quickly. She's wishing your mama to mend quickly. Uh-oh. Okay, we lost your sound.
You can't hear me?
Now we can.
Okay.
Okay. And yes, resting B, the parents take a timeout. That's what Michelle should have done. Yeah, I get the feeling that Michelle doesn't understand the concept of taking a timeout for herself. And they say that too. That's one of the tips. If you're overwhelmed, you hear your child and you're overwhelmed, they say count to 10. I don't know if 10 is sufficient for a lot of people in that kind of situation, but you get the gist of it. They say basically count to 10 before addressing your child if you're feeling, yeah.
Well, and it's also taking a time out when you use that with your children, you know, for discipline and stuff. That's something they can understand. And it eventually helps them learn, you know, how to self-calm and when they need to take a time out. So I think it was setting a very good example, you know, in that regard as well, because it's something they can relate to. It's something they can comprehend. but it's also something that they can use in the future.
Absolutely.
You know, with anxiety, with anger, you know, dealing with all those different types of emotions.
Yeah.
But it's very relatable to your average 2-year-old, you know, a timeout. They understand what that is.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, sometimes, okay, from Sarah, she says sometimes grandparents will encourage the parents to hit the grandkids. You need to be more stern, you parent or a friend. Well, you know, I have heard this too. I have heard this too from the boomers, the previous generation.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, it's like, did you, like those who say they turned out okay, did you really? That's, you know, this is a question, you know, step back and answer. Were you really okay? And
Mm.
I don't think it has to be an either or. What you have to use corporal punishment and be super strict, or you're going to be their friend. I think there is middle ground here.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're a parent first and a friend second, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, someone has to be the parent, to fulfill, you know, the role, to be the teacher, to be the role model, to be the soft place to fall.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And that requires trust.
Absolutely. I read some quote that went, a hyper vigilante parent can't discipline a hyper vigilante child. Uh-oh. Oh, you're
Well,
back.
I'm gonna have to excuse myself. I would love to continue, but my mom needs me.
That's okay. I'm about to end this stream anyway. We've been on for over 2 hours, I think, and I think we've covered everything we need to. So I'm about to end the stream anyway. I'm going to give the last few minutes to invite people to join our Discord server, as well as get the obnoxious e-begging portion of the show out of the way. I don't have a mod, so I'm going to have to put the link. My mods are gone, so I have to put a link in. So I'm going to wish you a good night, and thank you very much for coming back on. Thank you very much for coming back on. What?
It was unpleasant topic, but I enjoyed talking to you with
No, next time, better circumstances. We'll have you back on, and we'll do something more fun. I think we'll have you back on, and we'll do something more fun then.
Okay. Well, everybody have a good evening. I really enjoyed the time. So,
thank you
again. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for giving your point of view from a professional standpoint, and from the standpoint of a parent who has adopted children. So I want to thank you for that.
Okay.
So
Alrighty.
good night.
Okay.
Pardon me?
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Have a good night. Okay, like I said. Okay, so like I said, let's see. Okay, I'm going to end the stream shortly. So this is the portion. I will be interacting with you for the next few minutes. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to put those in the chat. I will take the opportunity. I have a Discord server, 2 months old, and we're already nearly 50 members strong. Awesome people. So if you want to join our Discord server, the link is in the chat. Please consider joining. And the link is also in the description box of this video. And if you wish to support the channel, I do have Patreon, and I'll take the opportunity to thank my 3 patrons, S. Journey to Find K and Kim Leeper, who was modding for me earlier. And also for one-time donations, I have PayPal. So that concludes the obnoxious e-begging portion of the show. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. So this is the part I turn it over to you in the chat. I turn it over to you in the live chat. So if there's any last minute notes, last minute items, please remember Sarah Kirk, who joined us for the first time. She has a channel and looks like she is covering this story. I have linked her channel in my, I need to Discord. You need to do what to Discord, Casey? D/I. Sorry, I don't know what that means. What do you think the outcome for Michelle Grace will be? Uh, it's hard to say, Sarah, because like I said, I'm in Canada, and I realize that child protection and family services vary from state to state. And here too in Canada, it varies from province to province. And I can only tell you, I mean, if I were guessing, and like I said, I only provided administrative support to social workers and child psychologists. And I'm not actually a mental health care provider. Oh, download. Yeah, you can also do it online with the link. Oh, you're in Canada too, Sarah. Oh, wow, a fellow Canuck. Cool. Okay, so like I said, I'm not really familiar with American laws, and I know they vary from state to state. What do I think the outcome will be? I would like to believe that they're like not just, some of us, but many of us called Child Protective Services wherever she lives. And I would hope that the child gets removed from the house. I don't wish children being removed from their families because often that is traumatic for them. But there are exceptions. I honestly feel this child is in danger in that household. Okay. And the telltale is like, not only does she put emphasis on things, but she's not responsible enough to hide things like Windex. Like, how did she get Windex? We know it's toxic. It's bright blue liquid. She might, they get into everything. We went international with this. Yeah, we did. But yeah, I would like to believe that the child, at least for the immediate time being, is removed from the home. And hopefully, if the stepmom is as problematic as you mentioned earlier, Sarah, hopefully not with this step parent. Hopefully not them. So I hope the child is removed and put into a safe home, a safe home. And at least for the time being. And I guess we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, it's hard to gauge what will happen in a state whose laws I don't know. I also know that in the United States, it's the same in Canada, but in the United States more so, there have been cuts to social services. So more often than not, where social services are working with like huge caseloads and without the funding. And that too is dangerous overall for the well-being of children. So yeah, I mean, optimistically, I would like to believe this child will be removed from the home. And thank you for bringing those videos to the surface, Sarah. Thank you. So anyways, I think we'll end it now. If there's any thoughts afterwards, I leave these streams up. Since this stream is over 2 hours, I'm going to put a few timestamps in, like, for example, when Resting Bitch Face joined us. I'll put a few of those like when she joined us and when she left us, in case anybody just wants to catch that. If you are new here and if you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing. Hit the thumbs up on the way out the door if you have not done so already. And remember to take care of yourselves and each other. And if there is somebody in your midst who is at risk, if there is somebody in your midst or in your environment who is at risk, please take the time to look in on them. Please take the time to look in on them. And, share a coffee, share a meal, or even just lend a sympathetic ear. It can make all the difference in the world. And if you see online or in your real life that there is a child at risk, don't be afraid to call the authorities, call the Child Protective Agency in your jurisdiction. I know in Quebec, for instance, and I think in the rest of Canada, you make a declaration, you do remain anonymous, and it's all confidential. So, yeah, that's for that. So anyways, I will catch you all in the next one. I'm going to try and come back tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening. Not sure of the topic yet. I do have upcoming topics coming up. Like, I want to talk about crowdfunding and GoFundMes. I don't know if that will be tomorrow. I do have others like the positivity of negativity coming up. Life is drama. Those are the topics that are coming up soon. So anyways, I will catch you all in the next one. And again, the Discord, if you haven't already joined, please consider joining. Patreon and PayPal if you wish to support the channel. And the links will also all be in the description box. Like I said, don't forget to sub to Sarah. Okay? Link is in the pinned comment below to Sarah's channel. Okay, so I wish you all a good night and a great weekend if I don't see you all in a live chat this weekend. And Straight Talkin' Fedora check over and out. Okay.